What is up, Waffle Gang? I do hope you are well. My name is Mark, and today we're covering some more r/am I the butthole. If you'd like to skip the initial waffle, timestamps are in the description and along the timeline below. But if you are new here, please consider hitting that like, that subscribe, and maybe that notification bell too. Now, yesterday we got some new members, and I just noticed this morning we're like 5 away from 300 members. That is absolutely crazy, and I saw that and I was bawling like a baba. Let me tell you that right now. It's sad, right? But anyway, I cannot tell you how much that means to me. But yesterday over on YouTube, we had some new members. We had Cyber King, Journey Rose, and Levi Cater. And then over on Patreon, we had Zoe join us. Thank you so much for your support. I can't tell you how much it means to me, and for everyone for just taking the time out of your days. With time being so precious, we're so close to Christmas and everything going on, you'd still take some time out of your day to be here. Thank you so much. That is really special of you. Thank you. And with that being said, let's just crack on with today's stories. Much love, guys. Now, our first story comes from Party on the Clouds. Am I the arsehole for refusing to pay for a child's surgical procedure? On mobile, apologies for the bad formatting. I, male 33, was involved in a road traffic accident which resulted in an injury to a child, male 6, 5 years ago. I was an avid motorcycle enthusiast and I go for cross-country road trips often. During one of these trips, a child ran across the expressway and I lost control and collided with the child, mainly injuring the child's legs. The parents just pulled up ahead and were smoking weed. They hadn't noticed that the child had got out of the car. Then they had sued me and lost. Long story short, because I was going under the speed limit and not inebriated, I was let off with warnings and I just had to pay for the court processing fees for the parents. Anyway, the child suffered a fractured leg and had to have surgery. I was deeply shaken by this event and felt extremely guilty. So I volunteered to pay for the cost of the surgery, which came up to 34k USD. Over the past few years, I developed PTSD and depression, started therapy, and I'm on antidepressants. Though I am way better than before, I still need therapy once in a few weeks, and do have the occasional nightmare. Presently, the child, male 12, developed something called contractures myositis ossificans. I don't know if I pronounced that one right, I've never heard that before, I have to Google that after. From the surgery and has a difficult time walking. Now the child requires another surgical procedure. So the parents contacted me repeatedly and are breathing down my throat demanding me money for the surgery. I downright refused. I asked my partner and friends and some of them have said that I am the arsehole. I am deeply conflicted and would like some feedback regarding the issue. Am I the arsehole? So I just googled it and I'm not going to try and pronounce it again, but is a condition where bone tissue forms inside muscle or other soft tissue after an injury. It tends to develop in young adults and athletes who are most likely to experience traumatic injuries. Most of the time this condition occurs in large muscles of the arms or the legs. But this is it's a crazy story because none of this was your fault. You was going under the limit. It was the parents' fault, their responsibility. They were just sat there smoking weed while the kid jumped out of the car and ran across the freeway and caused an accident. You can't be at blame just for riding your motorcycle under the limit. Wow. But also, don't get me wrong, I do feel sorry for that child for having such shitty parents in this situation, you know. But for you to pay 34,000 is absolutely, you're a saint for doing that in my opinion. And I can't believe you had to even pay their court fees in this. I don't understand why you'd have to do that. If anyone has an idea, please let me know. But Cringe Kid 1515 says, not the arsehole, everything that happened was never your fault. That kid ran into the road because their parents were too baked to notice. You paid for the kid's surgery even after the parents tried to sue you. You've gone above and beyond and there is nothing to feel guilty about at all. And Great Gatsby 26 says, not the arsehole, you did a nice thing by paying for the initial surgery. That was not an invitation to pay for all of this child's medical needs forever. Block them so they can't keep badgering you. If you feel bad, send one last message telling them you wish them all well and will keep the child in your thoughts, but would like no more contact. And Isolated Aura says, info, can you explain this a little better? And quotes, they then sued me and lost. Long story short, because I was going under the speed limit and was not inebriated, I was let off with warnings and I just had to pay for the court processing fees for the parents. You say they lost, I assume in that you don't have to pay a large settlement, but then you say you were also given a warning and had to pay their fees. That doesn't make sense to me. Usually if someone's lawsuit is thrown out because it is the other person is found to be at zero fault, in which case there'd be no warning for you and no requirement for you to pay anyone's fees. Were you considered at least partially at fault here by the court or not? And if not, why were you warned and had to pay a fee? And that was something I was wondering as well. I was like, why does someone have to pay a fee when, it wasn't their fault at all? And OP replies to their own post saying, "Hey, I would like to thank you all for the responses. I'm so relieved that a huge number of you think that I'm not the arsehole. So to answer a few, if not all your questions, number 1, my insurance did not cover for the initial surgery as I was deemed not guilty by the court. 2, there were quite a few suits filed against me. I paid the court fee for a few of them, and like someone rightly pointed out, I won the criminal suits and civil suits only in the matters of the final verdict. I was ordered by the judge in a few of the suits to pay the court fee for myself as well as the opposition. 3, I know I didn't have to pay for the surgery. I felt it was the right thing to do, and I also did it for my mental health. 4, CPS was involved and action was taken, but I did not follow up on that, as I just wanted to distance myself from all the parties involved in the accident. Thank you all, much love. Cheers." Now, I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys think of this situation? Do you think OP was at any fault in the situation, even though he was deemed not guilty by the court? And do you think they should have paid that money? And what about the child? What kind of life must that child have at this moment? Oh, it makes me sad just thinking about that. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Now, the other day we read a story called "Hidden my cousin from family and they wanted to send him to conversion therapy." I will link this one down in the pinned comment for you to see, but we've got an update on this post, so I thought I would update you and let you know what's going on. So, update: am I the arsehole for not telling people my missing cousin is staying with me right away? First off, I want to thank everyone for their comments and advice. Thank you for saying I was not the arsehole because I was doubting myself. Regarding the camp people, we have footage of them coming up to our house and other family members looking for Jake, so we have a clear image of what they look like. I already warned those people not to come near our house or Jake. They seem to listen, but Jake is still not going to leave the house without someone. I talked to the police about it and they cannot do anything unless these people break the law, but they will keep an eye out. Well, better than nothing, I guess. Regarding the paperwork, my aunt and uncle refuse to hand over the papers. They want Jake to either come home or go with those people. Neither is happening. We are looking at ways to get Jake's paperwork without them, but someone suggested calling the police and explaining what happened. Well, I don't usually go that far, that is what we're probably going to have to do. Regarding therapy, Jake agreed to it. I'm getting a referral from my own therapist, so Jake is going to get help there. Regarding family, insert loud sounds of pained annoyance. Some family threatened to come over to try and make Jake go back home. Others, while understanding why I didn't tell them Jake was here, are still upset with me. It'll be a while before I can smooth things over with them. Regarding Jake, he is safe. We have set him up comfortably here. My granny-in-law pretty much adopted him, and I'm sure she's going to put him in her will. He is safe, surrounded by the people that support him, and I'm going to see about finding him some work when he's ready to try it. Again, thank you to everyone for your messages and advice. We will be using them, and Jake says thank you as well. And that is as positive update as we're going to get, I think, in this situation. I mean, these people were actually walking up, these camp people, like I said in the last video, like, do they actually try to kidnap him and take him away and stuff? And it sounds like that's what they're going to bloody do. They're going to go up to the door and just take him away. I can't believe that this sort of thing happens. It's crazy to me. Wow. What do you guys think about that update? I know it's a pretty positive one, but the fact that these people, these camp people, were going up to the door. And our next story is from ADHD. Am I the arsehole? Am I the arsehole for finally breaking and telling my friend she probably doesn't have ADHD? My friend M self-diagnosed ADHD something like 5 years ago. I told them to speak to their GP and get tested if they really thought they had ADHD. We live in a country with free healthcare, so it wouldn't cost M a dime, just the process. When M said they probably had ADHD, I started as supportive, urged them to talk to an expert and get tested. My SSRIs have changed my life, so if she can get help, she should. However, my friend said it wasn't that big of a deal because it didn't affect them that much. Over the last 5 years, they often bring up their ADHD whenever anything vaguely uncomfortable or inconvenient happens. They're almost never late, but the one time they are, sorry, it's my ADHD. The moment they struggle focusing on something, they pull the card. If we, pre-corona, were at a restaurant with a friend group and Em was rudely on her phone, it's because I had ADHD. Last year I had to talk her out of illegally buying ADHD meds off some uni students selling them for tests. I told her there are various ADHD meds, and even if she does have ADHD, the ones he's selling might not even work. If she felt meds would help her, please see a doctor. Over the years, resentment has built up. I have a host of diagnosed mental illness as well as adult diagnosed autism. I went to a doctor because my life was a mess. Em is not teaching themselves healthy coping mechanisms through ADHD self-help sites. Em is not going to the doctor. Em describes her own life as unaffected by the ADHD she claims to have. I shut my mouth because I'm not a professional, and maybe Em does have ADHD. I don't know. But now with Corona, Emma's been going on and on and on about how she obviously has ADHD because staying at home has been so hard on her. I said that has nothing to do with ADHD. I've been working from home since March. The whole country has multiple lockdowns. We all leave home as little as possible and almost never see friends or family. Everyone is tired, struggles focusing, etc. In Corona times, everyone I know has been dealing with the psychological and physical effects of such low contact and barely leaving the house. She said that wasn't fair because she has ADHD. I said she should probably get an official diagnosis if she was struggling so much, but she said it wasn't that big of a deal. I snapped and said she probably didn't have ADHD and that she still hasn't seen a doctor because she knows he might not diagnose her. She yelled back she had ADHD and I was being discriminatory. I said she might have ADHD but that we'd never know because she just likes the label and refuses to see a doctor if her life is so impacted. She said some mean shit about my home life and ended the call. Some friends in our group saying I was a massive arsehole, but others are thanking me because they've been keeping their mouth shut for years. I'm just looking for a reality check, I guess. Edit, holy crap, I just got back. This blew up. I don't think I can reply to everyone. Thanks for the replies though. It appears most judgments are not the arsehole. Thank you guys for the reality check. Now we know, that we can already see it's going to be a not the arsehole verdict from everyone else. And we did have a story like this just recently where someone was self-diagnosing a mental illness. And the big problem with that, if this person doesn't have ADHD, they're making it more difficult for people with ADHD to get a proper diagnosis. So I can't say you are the arsehole, if this person just needs to get diagnosed or go to the doctor and see to it if they really do think that they have ADHD. But Easy Cheese 123 says, not the arsehole. Like you said, she might have it, but she's using something self-diagnosed to try and justify her behavior. It's frustrating to have actual health conditions and having to listen to someone who does this. I can see why you snapped. And then JMM says, yes, what your friend is doing is not harmless. Whether she has it or not, she is part of the reason that people are genuinely afraid to seek treatment or disclose their ADHD diagnosis. They're afraid of being unfairly painted like a whining, excuse-making, thoughtless jerk that blames all of their problems on their diagnosis instead of learning how to deal with life's problems. It increases the likelihood that people will unfairly associate ADHD with trivial, annoying things like lateness and impoliteness that affect others instead of understanding the underlying and often invisible, everyday, ongoing difficulties it poses for the person that has it. I have ADHD and the stigma doesn't bother me because I know better. But I know so many kids and young adults that could benefit from treatment and appropriate coping strategies that are too embarrassed to seek help because there is a huge stigma attached to the actual diagnosis. I tell people and I still get, oh my god, I would have never have known. Of course, not because meds and coping strategies are actually effective. Or have them acting like I've just admitted I have a terminal illness and asking all sorts of questions about my childhood, etc, etc. I usually only disclose it when I hear people stigmatizing it or spouting misinformation about how parents allowing their children to be treated with meds are lazy. I simply step in to say meds have changed my life and parents' lives, and I'm 100% confident I would not be as successful and mentally healthy as I am today without them, and the coping strategies I've developed so they shouldn't judge because they clearly have no idea what they're talking about, as evidenced by their shock and awe at my diagnosis. Also, about buying random meds. This is the reason I'm not allowed to get a refill on my meds until within days of mine running out. This is why I have to move heaven and earth to make an appointment with my doctor if I want to go on vacation and need some in advance. Or heaven forbid, move my script to one pharmacy to another, because calling and faxing never accomplishes anything. This is why I have to hide my meds, which makes it difficult to remember to take them. If I'm around people I don't know well, because it's a hot fucking commodity and arseholes are buying and selling it to people like your friend, so it's got to be closely regulated. On behalf of at least myself, if not everyone with an actual diagnosis, you tell her where she can fucking shove it until she gets her ass to a doctor. And I think that comment pretty much says it all. But now I'm going to turn it to you guys. What do you think of this situation? What do you think OP should tell her friend? Do you think her friend will actually get a diagnosis in the end? Or do you think she's actually playing a game here? Let us know in the comments below. And our next story is from K-Star. Am I the arsehole for refusing to pay for some lights my daughter may have broken? My daughter 13 has this friend 13 who she is quite close to, despite all the drama it comes with. And whilst there, she sat on a string of LED and the lights stopped working. At this point, my daughter's friend grabs the transformer and throws it on the ground in temper. My daughter apologised immediately and offered to pay to replace the lights. The cable was replaced by the stepdad of the friend. This didn't fix the lights. He says it's a transformer that's broken. He's demanding that we pay for them. I flat out refused because whilst the transformer could have broken when my girl sat on them, chances are it was his child that did it. Stepdad is absolutely disgusted that I won't pay and announced that my daughter can't be friends with his for a while because of all of this. As when she goes over to their house, she is provided with sweets and takeaways, so she should be paying for the lights. A bit of backstory for what has contributed to my decision. This girl is a nightmare. She kicks off and picks fights with my daughter regularly because she has poor mental health. I do feel bad for her, but my kid is always the brunt of it. Back in August, my daughter was sleeping over there, and at 10 PM, the friend kicks off, throws my daughter out in the dark with no money or way to get home. My girl rang me, standing in the street crying her eyes out. I had to get my mum to go and fetch her. The following weekend, they made up. My mum had both girls over for a barbecue, spent loads of money on food that this child said was all she would eat. She then refused to eat any of it. It all got thrown away. These kind of situations are repeated over and over. I've advised my daughter to keep her distance, but she always forgives her, and I've sworn not to be that interfering mum who tells her who she can be friends with. Edit. Just to confirm, I do not support this friendship. My daughter is fully aware I disapprove, and each time she asks to stay, I advise her that I don't think she is making the best choices. But it's her life ultimately. After the August situation, I did stop my child from ever going over there for a while. I haven't stopped her going completely for two main reasons. One, she will never learn how to avoid toxic relationships if I protect her from them all the time. Two, she's a teenager. If I ban her friend, she'd probably hang out with her anyway. And then when she's in trouble, she wouldn't have me to turn to. Now, I'm going to initially say you're not the arsehole for not wanting to pay for the lights, you know. I just don't think that makes you the arsehole in this situation. However, you are the arsehole for letting your daughter go over to a place where she might get kicked out again. You know, she's been kicked out once in the middle of the night. That must be terrifying for someone of that age to be kicked out in the middle of the night for no reason. And didn't her friend's parents say something about her kicking her out in the middle of the night? The whole thing is totally messed up, and for you to let her go over there again to sleep over is absolutely crazy, and I think that does make you the arsehole in this situation. But Blue Dog 33 says you're the arsehole, not for refusing to pay for the lights, but because you're letting your daughter sleep over somewhere she might be kicked out at a moment's notice and encouraging a friendship where she is obviously being bullied and manipulated. The Mirror's Truth says, info, after they kicked her out in the middle of the night, why on earth would you let your daughter sleep over there again? I always make sure she has taxi money when she goes now, so she's never stranded. But she's 13 years old, man! And you think that's right for her to be calling a taxi for herself to get home? That is crazy to me. Wow. And a long strange something says you're the arsehole for letting your daughter be friends with someone who is bullying her. And Sycamore says you're the arsehole for thinking that having a 14-year-old girl take a taxi home in the middle of the night is safe, normal, or acceptable. Now I turn this one to you guys. What do you guys think of this situation? What about the original story? Do you think that, you know, they should be paying for those lights? Or what do you think about this daughter taking a taxi home in the middle of the night if she does get kicked out again? Absolutely crazy relationship going on right there. Let us know what you think in the comments below. And our next story is from Mediocre Bar. Am I the arsehole for not making a huge deal about my girlfriend's pregnancy? My girlfriend is 8 months pregnant with our 4th child together. My girlfriend is a bit older than me, so she had a kid in a previous relationship. So total is about to be 5 kids. Before I get attacked for, having kids out of wedlock. I don't believe in marriage, and neither does she. I love all my kids, they truly mean the world to me. We're blessed to get a lot of support from my family, so we're pretty stable and we're able to give our kids the life they deserve. My girlfriend is really excited for the arrival of our newest child, but she doesn't really speak to her family, so she hasn't told anyone besides her co-workers and friends. I have a huge family that I guess I'm close with, but I don't feel the need to tell them about her pregnancy. I'm only 26 years old, and to be honest, my friends and brothers like to give me shit about having so many kids at a relatively young age, so yes, I was apprehensive about telling everyone about it. I told my mum because I knew my girlfriend would text her to update her about it and whatnot. I asked my mum not to tell my siblings, cousins, aunts, etc. The incident was, my girlfriend insisted on bringing our kids to my parents' house so they could see my family. I tried to stop it, but she had made her mind up. We went to my parents' house and obviously everyone saw that she was pregnant. Everyone kept it cool and she didn't seem to realise that nobody knew she was pregnant until my little sister 13 blurts out, "What? You're pregnant?" Anyway, my girlfriend found out that I hadn't told anyone, and now she claims that I'm ashamed of her and our kids. She says that she's heartbroken and is being really weird towards me. I'm really not ashamed, but I was a little sheepish about telling everyone. Am I the arsehole? You know, you are going to be the arsehole for not wanting to tell your family about your kids. What was your plan here? What was you going to do? Eventually, this kid is going to come into the world and your family will see it, unless you're going to hide your wife and your kids for the rest of your life. And when the kid does eventually turn up and no one knew about this child, you're going to get even more shit for that. So, you know, just suck it up. Tell your family you're pregnant again. If they give you shit, well, fuck them, to be quite honest, right? But gave 2 cents now broke says, "You're the arsehole. What's your plan?" She pops the kid out and at the next family gathering you're like, "Oh right, there. Yep, that happened." It's your girlfriend and your child. The reasons you gave sound very much like you're ashamed. You even tried to stop her from a family gathering so you didn't have to disclose it. Sincerely Cynical says, "You're the arsehole. If you're embarrassed to admit you're having a 4th kid, why are you having a 4th kid?" Strawberry Jewel Pod says, "You're the arsehole, dude. You were literally trying to hide her from your family so they wouldn't see that she was pregnant. Do you realise they'd eventually find out? You can't just hide an entire person from your family forever. Oh my god, at least pretend to be excited. That will show you care about her and are happy to have kids with her. Plus you're an adult. Why do you care what other people think of you? Grow up, buddy." Kind of weird one towards the end there, but what do you guys think of this situation, and what would you do if you was like the wife in this situation? You know, you found out they'd been hiding you because you was pregnant, almost like you was ashamed. How would you deal with that? Let us know in the comments below. Once again, guys, thank you for being here today. I hope you have enjoyed today's stories. As I always say, I've been having an absolute blast with you just recently. Love reading your comments, what you're doing, the artwork you've been showing me is fantastic. The community we have here is just absolutely spicy as you like, and I love it. Thank you so much for that, and I will see you in the next one. Take care, guys. Much love.